Hi there, it's Nichol Spohr and welcome back to my channel. Today we're going to be doing a throwback style of card where I am taking previously released products, things that actually have been out for quite some time, and we are going to mix and match them to create a brand new card. This is kind of a shop your stash type of card today. I actually was moving a bunch of stuff to my new workspace a couple weeks ago, and I came across these sets from Mama Elephant that I really wanted to use together on a card. We're going to use the slim comic strip die to create the base of our slimline style card today, and then I'm going to be using these two cute sets, the Beach Chickies and Summer Splash, I believe. I hope I said the right thing. So I am going to die cut my slim comic strip cover here from some smooth white cardstock. I have laid out my stamps kind of in each particular storyboard so that I kind of know what's going to go where. I made one tiny change, which we'll talk about when we actually get to that part. But for the most part, we are going to start stamping the water image from the Summer Splash stamp set in each of these storyboard kind of wonky rectangles, if you will. And I'm not going to line them up perfectly. I'm going to do each of them a little bit different. It's one of the reasons I laid my stamps out before I got started. It was so I had a good gauge of where everything was going to go, how far up I needed to stamp the water, and so on and so forth. I am stamping that water image in each of these storyboards with clear embossing ink and heat embossing with white embossing powder. We're going to use that for embossed resist. I felt like I would like that a lot better, excuse me, rather than like black ink or something to that effect, because I'm going to do no line coloring and I wanted to do some inking for the water and then the beach that we're going to be creating along the top part of each of these little storyboards. And so I really felt like the white would be the best. You could do whatever you wanted here, but I really like how it kind of almost ends up being the foam in the waves. So we are going to continue to build this particular section here, and I know I flipped it upside down, and I'm actually using my stamps to kind of gauge where I want it to go. This particular section is going to have the least amount of water because it probably has the most amount of images, and it's also going to be the spot where my sentiment's going to go. For whatever reason, when I was laying this out, I really just kind of liked how this naturally fell. So that's how I ended up with that decision. Now, the Summer Splash actually does not have a single sentiment in the stamp set, which is great. You can use whatever you want. But Beach Chickies also actually has, let's see, 4 different ones. Wishing you an amazing day, enjoy the little things, hey cutie, and sending you lots of sunshine, which I chose to use here. I went ahead and stamped that at the same time as I stamped the water, and then I'm going to heat emboss both of these. That way they're both going to be embossed resist when we get to the inking portion. I'm just taking my time and building each of these so that there aren't any mistakes. I'm really, really excited to see if the idea I had in my head when I came across these stamps is going to work out. Obviously, you saw the photos at the beginning. It did work out. This card came together really fast. Surprisingly, it's a lot of coloring, quite a bit of stamping as well, but sometimes those cards can take a little bit more time, but this one really went together fast. I loved how well the little chickies and elephants work together. Mama Elephant does such a fantastic job of bringing out more and more critter sets that will work back with things they already have. So I know these two sets did not come out at the same time, if I recall correctly, and both of them have been out for a while. I don't know if they will be discontinued or if they're in the process of being discontinued. I'd have to check on that. I do think I found both of them in stock at Simon Says Stamp, which I linked to in the supplies, but I think that they, when they're gone, they might be gone, but don't quote me on that. I'm simply just guessing. We will add our last little section and then we're going to do some inking magic. I generally like to start with the backgrounds of my cards, especially if there's going to be, like in this case, I'm inking with Distress inks. They take a little bit longer to dry. I'm going to spritz the entire inked background with some water. That's going to take a little bit to dry. A lot of times there's just something going on in the background that needs a little drying time. And while I color images to go on the card or do die cutting or whatever it might be, it's a great time for those background elements to be drying. So that's kind of my thought process behind doing this. And oftentimes my scene is influenced by my background building. This is really simple background building since it's all going to be nice and flat. And then we've got the little frame that we'll be building up with, I think about 4 frames, one on top of another, to really kind of give it that storyboard feel. We're going to use some Tumbled Glass and Mermaid Lagoon Distress inks. These are the regular Distress inks. I have the little mini cubes here. I'm using ink blending brushes to add that ink to my little panels. I'm going to start with Tumbled Glass and then we'll shade in a little Mermaid Lagoon. You can see that where I have embossing, it's going to resist that ink. This is kind of where the magic happens, and hopefully you can kind of start to see the vision for the finished card. This one, of course, doesn't have quite as much blue on it. And then the first one. Now that we have our Tumbled Glass, let's take a little Mermaid Lagoon. This is going to deepen and darken the color and really bring in some richness to our ocean waves. I love creating beach scene cards. I really don't know what it is, but I absolutely love it. Next, we are going to take antique linen and gathered twigs distress inks to make our sand. I'm not doing any masking. I'm not going to worry at all. I'm just going to kind of get the ink as close as possible. If there's a little bit of overlap, that's okay, especially in a beach card. I kind of like that soft, lighter area where the two colors meet. It gives it that effect of the water, you know, the waves coming into the sand and going back out. And I just like how it is lighter right there. I'm going to apply my lightest color closest to the blue, so that will be the antique linen. And then we're going to deepen and darken the top edge of each panel with gathered twigs. So it still maybe looks a little questionable. I think it really doesn't come to life until I add that gathered twigs up at the top. And of course, once I add the gathered twigs, the Sending You Lots of Sunshine sentiment that I stamped in white is going to really pop out and be super legible. And it's just going to build the perfect little background for our cute critters. This is a super simple card design today. Just some stamping, some inking, and then some stamping and coloring. And that's really it. Sometimes the most simple designs are the best. I just love it. And I don't know about you guys, but I absolutely love shopping my stash and revisiting some images that I have previously used. I actually did go back to into my YouTube channel back a ways and found my original card videos for these two particular stamp sets. So I will be linking in the description down below. So if you would like to see some additional ideas with Beach Chickies or Summer Splash, or even our slim comic cover, this is not as old, this is pretty recent. I will have links to those down in the description box. I am spritzing my panels now with a little water from a distress sprayer. I am holding it up pretty high. That's why you're not seeing it on the screen. You're just seeing the droplets come down. And then I'm just going to kind of dab that dry, buff away any ink sitting on top of my sentiment or the waves, clean up my work surface, and then we are going to grab our images from Summer Splash and Beach Chickies and stamp these on some Bristol smooth cardstock with Lawn Fawn Jellyfish no line coloring ink. I am using the Stamper's Secret tool to help get a nice even pressure when stamping these images so that I get a good outline, and I stamped them twice for a really crisp line to make it easy for the no line coloring. We're going to be using Zig No Line Clean Color, Zig Clean Color Real Brush markers today. I was making a note and I forgot what I was saying. We are going to start with the watermelon that this first chickie is sitting on. I love the Mama Elephant Chickies. I don't know what it is about them. I think it's the little chubby faces, but I think the illustrations are so cute. They are always some of my favorite. I always love using them. They're just really, really fun. I have listed the colors I'm using on the screen. You can also find these on my blog. I do get asked often what set of markers as far as the zigs to buy if they're new to you. I do probably have them all. I will tell you I never bought them as a set. I did not buy them all at one time. But I do link to the 90-piece set, the 90 marker set down in the description, because that's going to give you, I think, the majority of the markers, which I use pretty much everything I have. There's only probably a couple, they're neon colors that I have never used. In fact, I need to replace a couple. I had made notes while I was working on this card that a couple of my tips look a little frayed. My yellow, green, and I think my light carmine, I need to find my note, need to be replaced, and you can buy them individually, which is awesome. So if there are markers you use a lot, and I use both of those so much, and I have also had them for, oh my gosh, I want to say 7 or 8 years now. It's been a while. I have replaced 1 or 2 over the years. One tip I ruined not getting the lid on correctly. I smashed the lid into the tip and ruined it. And my blender has run out. These are not refillable, but fairly inexpensive to replace. And like I said, in that amount of time, I have only replaced a handful of markers. I do need to replace these too, but it's not very many. It really just kind of depends on how much you use them. You guys know I love them and I use them a lot. I like to start by outlining the darker area I'm coloring first, then blending out with the lighter marker, pulling that dark color out, gives it that natural shading. Anything super dark, maybe I shouldn't even say dark, anything red, I color last. If you color with red first, these are water-based markers, and you accidentally touch it with the tip of another marker. So let's say the chick eating the watermelon. You'll notice when I colored that, I colored the red last. That's because if you touch the mustard or that medium beige I used for the chick to the red, it will cause the red to bleed out into that area. So something I have really made a conscious effort the last year or two is to be a little bit more intentional with my coloring and really pay attention to those things. Color red last. Blue is another one, the blue I used for the hat, the darkest blue. Sometimes it will bleed out too, although it didn't here. I'm trying to think if there's any others. Red is always the worst culprit. Obviously a pink or a bright pink would kind of do the same thing, so I will color it last. I colored it last for the chick in the flamingo floaty. I love how the elephant has a little sand shovel in its trunk, And then there's going to be a little chickie that's holding a shovel as well. To me, these two stamp sets just simply work so well together. This is a fantastic way too to craft in season. So I know that we're starting to see a lot of fall and winter and Christmas in July type of cards and tags and all of that good stuff, and I am here for it. But it is summer, at least where I live here in the United States, and it is kind of nice at times to craft in season. Create those summer themed cards, or if it's spring, the spring themed cards, or in the fall themed cards. And so for me, this was just one of those cards that really, to me, felt like summer, and I really, really liked that. Now this little crab here, there's actually a crab in each set, and I like that one is left facing and one is right facing because they work really well together. It's a great little I call it an accessory stamp or an accessory image. Little things that just kind of tie the scene all together or fill in open spots. The beach ball, the umbrella, the coconut drink, the crabs, they're all kind of little secondary type of images that just add interest to your scene, to the story that you're trying to tell. In fact, I did these two, I die cut everything, I'm putting the card together, and I ended up stamping one additional little crab there that I put in the first frame of our storyboard. I felt like that particular frame, so the first and the last, the original placement, I did 2 images in the first frame and 2 images in the last, and then both of the other frames have multiple images. They have a lot more going on, and for me it was just a little too, I don't know, there's just a little too much space. I like the little bit of white space. I don't have to fill in every little area. There's quite a bit going of sand up high and water down below, and there's only the elephant and the beach ball in the last frame, but I didn't want the two bookends of our storyboard basically to be so matchy-matchy with only 2 images in each. So adding an extra little image to that first frame for me just kind of sets it off a little bit and helps it be a little more interesting. This little mermaid chickie I think is cute too, with the little mermaid tail. And I'm pulling in some purple for all of my purple lovers out there. I know I joke all the time that I don't like purple, or I didn't used to like purple, but I certainly have used it a lot in the last few months, so I can't say that anymore. I really, really like these. This is light violet and pale violet, which is a favorite. Now comes all of the rainbow pieces. So there's a lot of color going on in my images today, but we have a lot of rainbow detail. I am making my umbrella rainbow, the beach ball will be rainbow, and then the floaty, the little inner tube that our elephant is floating in, will also be rainbow. You definitely don't have to, but I was going for lots of color, lots of happy. To me, I just love the happiness and brightness that those kind of things provide. It's super fun to be able to pull all of that color into these images. I ended up not making them stripes going across, but instead each section being a different kind of rainbow. You'll notice the center goes from pink to blue and doesn't have any purple. And then the 2 outer sections are going to go the opposite direction, but I'm going to start with purple. That way they don't line up at any point. And so those outer sections don't have pink and the inner section doesn't have any purple. Our beach ball won't have any purple, but our inner tube that the elephant is floating in is going to have all of our colors represented. We are almost done with the coloring portion. Like I said, I simply turned on a YouTube true crime channel and colored my heart out while I was listening. I don't really watch, even though it's obviously a show, but I listened to it and while I am coloring. I always like to do something like that while I'm coloring. It's kind of a nice way to have something going on while I am doing the work of coloring in some images. I actually just finished rewatching all 10 seasons of Friends. It's amazing how fast you can get through a show like that when you realize that it was a 30-minute show when it aired, but when you cut out all those commercials, it goes by super, super fast. I don't know. I was in the mood for funny, and it was funny. But now I'm back to true crime all the time. I know if you joined me in my live stream last week, I talked about I love true crime. I listen to like a lot of Dateline and things like that. I forgot to mention, take black fine tip pens and I draw in like the chick's legs, color in the eyes, anything like that, details on the crab. I have found you can go right in most of the time with these and draw that right in, but I've kind of gotten the habit of waiting a minute or two. Like I'll color an image, I'll move on to the next one and start coloring, and then I'll go back and add the details back in. So on the slim comic frame, I am going to go around the perimeter of the frame with some 1/8 inch double-sided adhesive. We're going to peel that up. And if you peel it up just halfway, you actually have somewhere to hold on to where you don't get your fingers into the adhesive. I'm going to line that up on a Slimline 3.5 by 8.5 card base. Place some adhesive in each of those sections, and we're going to inlay in our backgrounds. I am going to speed through adhering all of these just to save a little bit of time. That was a lot of coloring today. And I want to kind of lay things out, get an idea, make sure that I think that what I planned is going to work. And at this point, you guys, I was so excited because I thought this was so cute. I am a sucker for cute critters. I know so many of you are too. I just love all of Mama Elephant and Lawn Fawns. I've got some good Lawn Fawn stuff coming too. I can't wait to share. Just got to get all of those videos edited. We are going to build this up. I'm not going to worry about if an image like the tip of that umbrella slightly overlaps the frame, that's okay. I did trim off some areas if I thought they hung off or hung over too much. I want each little storyboard to be its own section. And it doesn't have to be perfect, just close enough. In fact, I don't know that I got this elephant perfect, but that's okay. Because I'm actually going to die cut this frame 3 more times. You could do as many as you want. You wouldn't even have to do any extra if you didn't want to. But I want the frame to be prominent. I really want it to have that storyboard feeling. So it needs a little bit more dimension. And I ended up die cutting it 3 more times for a total of 4 frames that I'll be adhering one on top of another. And here's that extra little crab. I just think it balances everything so cute. Now, I felt like the finished card needed some sparkle and pizzazz, so I am going to my trusty favorite little star confetti. This is the matte gold from Lucy's Little Things. I love it. And then, of course, the little blue heart droplets. I like these too. I picked blue, so it kind of looks like maybe heart bubbles coming up from things. But these are just super simple, easy embellishments. You can really see that those 4 frames stand out and frame up each of my storyboard scenes just perfect. Thank you guys so much for joining me today for this Storyboard Slimline Beach Scene card featuring Mama Elephant stamps and dies. The supplies I used to create my card are listed and linked below the video here on YouTube. Here is another video featuring Mama Elephant supplies that you might be interested in. If you enjoyed this video, please give it a thumbs up and be sure to subscribe to my channel and hit that notification bell to never miss a new card making video. Thank you so much for joining me today, and we'll catch you next time.